Wagwan Mandem, what are you telling me? Welcome back to the HTML series. In this video, we're going to cover what is the head element and metadata in HTML. By the end of this video, you'll learn about the HTML head, understand its purpose, the most important items it can contain, and what effect it can have on the page. Let's get into it. Now, what is the HTML head? The HTML head is the contents of the head element. So, unlike the contents of the body element, the head's content is not displayed on the page. Instead, the head's job is to contain all the metadata about the document. Now, as we can see in this example, the head is quite small. It just has 2 meta tags and a title. In larger pages, however, let's have a look at YouTube. If we inspect, we can see that the head tag has loads of elements within it. And it starts from here all the way down till here. Now, we've already seen the title element in action. This can be used to add a title to the document. This, however, can get confused with the H1 element, which is used to add a top level heading to your body content. This is sometimes also referred to as the page title, but they are different things. Now, the H1 element appears on the page when loaded in the browser, as we can see here. Generally, this should only be used once per page to mark the title of your page content. So this could be the story title, a headline, essentially whatever is appropriate on the page. Now, the title element is metadata that represents the title of the overall HTML document, not the document's content. So as we can see here, this is where the title element is being rendered using this title tag, and the H1 element here is being rendered by using the H1 heading tag. Now, I'll leave a link to my GitHub repo in the description so you can download the copy of the code and follow along. Now, the title element is also used in other ways. For example, if you try bookmarking a page and click on edit, you'll see that the name of the bookmark is being pulled through with the title. Now, the title contents can also be used in search results, as you'll see later on in the video. So, what is metadata? Metadata is data that describes data, and HTML has an official way of adding metadata to a document. This is through the meta element. Now, there are other stuff that we will go through that can be thought of as metadata too. There are a lot of different types of meta elements that can be included in your page's head, but I won't try to explain all of them at this stage, as it will just get too confusing. Instead, I'll explain a few things that you might commonly see, just to give you an idea. Let's have a look at this. Now, this element specifies the document's character encoding. This is the character set that the document is permitted to use. UTF-8 is a universal character set that includes pretty much any character from any human language. Now, this means that your web page will be able to handle displaying any language. So it's therefore a good idea to set this on every web page that you create. For example, your page could handle English and Arabic just fine. So if we look here, we have the Arabic example. So if you set your character encoding to something else, this could result in your page rendering something that looks really messed up. Now, many meta elements include name and content attributes. Now, name specifies the type of meta element it is, what type of information it contains, and content defines and specifies the actual meta content. 2 meta elements that are useful to include on your page define the author of the page and provide a concise description of the page. Now, let's have a look at an example. Here we have a meta of author with the content of Salim, and a meta of description and the content, as you can see here. Specifying an author is beneficial in many ways. It is useful to be able to understand who wrote the page, and if you have any questions about the content and you would like to contact them. Some content management systems have facilities to automatically extract page author information and make it available for such purpose. Now, adding a description that includes keywords relating to the content of the page is useful, as it has the potential to make your page appear higher in relevant searches on search engines such as Google. Now, this is a whole subject in and of itself, called search engine optimization, or SEO. Now, the description is also used on search engine result pages. Let's try to have a look at the Vue docs, which is a front-end framework. If we just go through, as we can see that the title of the page and the description is being pulled through here. Below the homepage link, we also have certain links which are listed here, which are called site links. Now, to make your site stand out, you can add custom icons in your metadata, and these will be displayed in certain contexts. The most commonly used of this is the favicon, short for favorites icon, referring for its use in the favorites or bookmark section of the browser. Now, we have an image here saved as favicon.ico within the images folder. Now to use it, we just need to use the link element and have the href where the image is set. Now as you can see here, we have the favicon right here next to the title of the page. Just about all websites you use today will be using CSS to make them look nice and JavaScript to power interactive functionality. Now this includes video players, maps, games, and more. These are most commonly applied to a web page using the link element for CSS, just like this, and the script element for JavaScript. Now the link element should always go inside the head of your document. Now this takes two elements. First, a style sheet, which indicates that this is the document style sheet, and href, which contains the path to the style sheet file. Now let's go create the file. Now I have some styles that you can get from the GitHub repo that will be in the description of the video. Now as you can see, the styles from the style sheet is being applied correctly. The script element should also go into the head and should include a source attribute containing the path to the JavaScript you want to load, and defer, which basically instructs the browser to load the JavaScript after the page has finished passing through the HTML. This is useful as it makes sure that the HTML is all loaded before the JavaScript runs, so that you don't get errors resulting from JavaScript trying to access an HTML element that doesn't exist on the page yet. There are actually a number of ways to handle loading JavaScript on your page, but we'll get to that in a later series on JavaScript. Now the script element may look like a void element, but it's not. So that's why it needs a closing tag. Instead of pointing to an external script file, you can also choose to put your script inside the script element. Now that we have the script element here, let's actually create it within our files. I'm just going to paste this all in here. However, you can get this in the GitHub repo as I mentioned before. So the JavaScript has added an empty list to the page. Now when you click anywhere outside the list, we get a dialog box that pops up that we can input something within the list. So let's add hello and world. Now if we click within the red box on a list item, we can now change the content of the list. So instead of hello world, let's say hello Mandem. And as you can see, it has changed the list items. Now the CSS has actually caused the background of the page to go green and the text to become bigger. It has also styled some of the content that the JavaScript has added to the page. As you can see, within the list items, it's the red box with a black border going all around it. Now finally, it's worth knowing that you can and really should set the language of your page. If we go back to the HTML document, we can see here I've got language set to English GB, and that's because I'm in the UK. Now you could have it as ENUS if you want to specify the Americanized English. Now this is useful in many ways. Your HTML document will be indexed more effectively by search engines if its language is set, allowing it to appear correctly in language-specific results. Now it is useful to people with visual impairments that are using screen readers. You can also set subsections of your document to be recognized as different languages. For example, if we look at the Arabic example that we have here, I can wrap this within a span tag that has the language of AR, which specifies that this is in the Arabic language. Now these codes are defined in the ISO standard. Now that marks the end of our tour in the HTML head. There's a lot more you can do here, but a detailed video would be quite boring and quite confusing at this stage. And I just wanted to give you an idea of the most common things you'll find. Now in the next video, we'll be looking at HTML text fundamentals. See ya.